What's up, guys? It's your boy Vic. We're back with another video. Today we're going to talk about how we can upgrade your life immediately. But you have to understand these four concepts, or this one concept that's broken down into four separate ones. There's levels of value. In order to make more money, you must increase your value. That is the simple, plain answer for you to upgrade your life. I've experienced this myself. There's levels to this stuff. Like Meek Mill said in the song, there's levels to it. And what you have to understand is, in order to make more money, you must increase your value. Now, if you're someone that's not making that much money, say you're making 20, 30, 40K a year. It's not that much money, right? It's enough, but it's not that much. And you want to make more. Well, you have to understand what level you're on. Again, there's levels to this stuff, right? There's levels of value. You are in the implementation. You're probably doing some kind of labor. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's get that clear. There's nothing wrong with working labor jobs. But if you want to increase your value, you have to get off that level because you're at the bottom level, right? So let's talk about it. So maybe you work at a pizza shop. I used to work at a pizza shop. I used to make pizzas. And what I realized was that I was getting paid the least, but I was working the hardest. Like I was sweating the most. I can't imagine how many pizzas I made in one day. A lot of pizzas. But yet I got paid the less, but I was working the most because I could only provide so much value, right? When you're in the implementation level, you can only touch so many people when you're implementing things, right? Just like, you look at like a Uber driver, right? Well, an Uber driver is probably gonna have maybe 20 or 30 people a day. And he's not delivering anything of crazy value. You know what I mean? It's valuable. We appreciate you taking me this place and that place. But you're not creating anything of real, anybody can do that. Anybody can get on and drive Uber and get me to my place. So when you're on the implementation level of things, you are getting paid the least and you're working the hardest. And it's okay because everybody is at that point at one point in time in their life. I was at that point. I was working at a pizza shop. I used to work at a furniture store. I used to clean cars, bro. I used to do all that stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that if that's where you're at right now. But just understand that you're on the lowest level. The next level is unification level, right? This is when you got your manager. So I used to work at a pizza shop. Then I got promoted to manager and they gave me $2 extra, right? And so they gave me $2 extra to manage the store. And I got paid more than the guy that was below me where the position that I was at, right? But the difference is with the unification, it takes a little bit more mental skills and communication skills. You got to be able to communicate with the other workers, let them know what their job is, let them know what you're going to be doing. There might be some issues in the store that you might have to deal with, so you got to talk to people. You're using your mouth more, your mouthpiece, right? And what you'll see is, as you move up more and more, the more you have to use your brain. And as you move up more and more, the more you have to be able to communicate. Using your imagination and using your mouth is the best way to continue on the levels of value that you provide. The higher you get, the more you have to use your mouth and your brain. Now, with the management level, you still sometimes have to work, but you could get, as a manager, you can make up to 80 to 100K. So with implementation level, you're probably making 20. You can get on the higher paying things. You could actually be a doctor, which I still think is more on, it's a mixture between unification and implementation level. I would say a doctor is. But when you're in the unification level, you're probably averaging 80 to 100K a year. And if you had a good job, maybe more depending on where you're at. If you're in sales, it could be more. But like most likely you're around that area. Right? That's why everybody wants to be the manager at their job because they get to make a little bit more than the person working at the bottom. It's fair. Now, this is where life transformed for me. This is second level, which is the communication. Being able to communicate is probably one of the most valuable skills that you could learn. I remember when I first learned this skill, or where I thought this skill really developed inside of me was when I was in middle school. I went to a Christian school from 6th to 8th grade, and every year from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they made us speak in front of an audience of like our peers and everybody else, and I had to read a 6-page paper in front of an audience. And then next year I had to write a 7-page paper in front of an audience. And then in my 8th grade year, I had to write an 8-page paper in front of an audience. It was like a thesis or something like that. That changed my brain, bro. In those years, so that's why my kids they're gonna be so well off, because I'm gonna put them in the best position possible. Those years developed my communication skills. My fear of talking in front of people probably disappeared because of that. I did it when I was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Now I'm an adult. I can do it no problem. Communication is when you start breaking loose. This is when you start making some real money. I knew guys, I used to work in an office in California. I was making $1 million a year, bro, and they did not do any real physical work. Most of their money came from just literally speaking to people about why they should move their retirement account over into another retirement account. That was most of their lives. I got a friend right now, he's about to make $20-something thousand this year, or this month, I'm sorry, based off his communication skills. You understand what I'm saying? So, be a better communicator. You'll make more money. And to get a little bit deeper into this, communication is a spiritual thing, right? You can't see it, you can hear it, you can feel it, but it's not tangible, right? You can't tell if someone is, you can't look at you can look at someone and tell if they're a good worker, and you can hear someone and you can tell they're a good communicator, but you're able to multiply that, right? Like this YouTube video, say I wanted to sell you something on this YouTube video, right? I could sell this, 1 million people could see this video, but I only shot it one time. So I made it multiply my effects by just shooting a video and communicating my message to you. My message today is that there's levels to value, and if you're not making that much money, you're probably on the bottom 2, and you need to work on your communication skills. It's gonna make you more money. I made the most amount of money in my life working the least, at least physically. I had to work mentally, and I used my mouth, but when it came to how much I made, I didn't work nearly as hard as I did at the pizza shop, or as I did when I was cleaning cars or whatever. I didn't work nearly as hard. So when you realize that, okay, if I learn how to communicate, you can make more money. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a spiritual thing. To make $1 million in, let's say, a day, to make $1 million in a year, it's a spiritual thing. It's not something that you can just do off the physical. You can't do it off the physical. If you think you're gonna work your way to be rich, like if you're gonna work, toil, and grind and dig, you're not gonna make it there. You're gonna have to increase your level of value, and you're gonna have to learn how to communicate better. So that is the third level of communication, the I would say the second highest, and the number one thing, the number one skill, or the number one level of value, the highest level of value, is imagination. Let's look at Walt Disney. He created Mickey Mouse. He created Donald Duck. He created Disney Channel. He created Disney World. He didn't put in the work to make it. He probably didn't even manage the workers. He just came up with the idea and said, I want to do this. He probably drew it on a piece of paper or something and started creating Disney. And Disney's worth $1 billion now. You look at Steve Jobs. He imagined the iPhone and he built the iPhone. It's a navigator. It's a communicator. It's a music player. He thought about it and he said, we're gonna have all this in one device. And he created it. You look at anybody, the richest people in the world, Amazon. It was an idea and he made it into fruition. What you have to understand is imagination is the highest level of value. If you can bring something from your mind into reality that benefits the world, you can be a very, very, very wealthy person, right? Maybe you maybe write a book. Maybe you create a device. Maybe you create an app. Maybe you create a piece of art, music. Maybe you create, a different type of plane. Look at like SpaceX and the Tesla and all this stuff. Like Elon Musk is just saying, okay, let's try this. Let's make this happen. He's doing that. So if you have an imagination, which we all do, use it. It's the highest level of value. Being able to implement your imagination is the highest level of value. Communication is the second highest level of value. Unification is the third, and implementation is the last. Now, we all start somewhere, and a lot of us start at the implementation level because we don't know any better. Our parents were implementing the ideas of others, and then maybe they moved up to unification. And then maybe you got into sales. I think that's the best way. If you want to upgrade your life, get into sales, bro. I don't care what nobody says. I made the most amount of money selling something for somebody else. So get into sales. But there's levels to this, bro. And if you can understand the levels, then you can solve your money problems. You're not making no money because you're in an implementation level. You're probably driving Uber. You're probably working at a restaurant. You're probably working at a construction site. You're probably doing something that involves your physical labor and time. Unification is the next step. You're managing other people's levers and time, and you're probably working too, which is not bad. Communication is the second highest. Sales, music. People who make music are in the communication business. Movies is kind of communication and imagination. YouTube, communication. So you got to start getting into these realms that are going to get you more money. They're spiritual realms. Communication is a spiritual thing. In the Bible, it said God spoke and he spoke things into existence, right? God spoke. He breathed. He put breath into us, and he's a creator. And we were made in God's image. We were supposed to create. That's why we're moving into a creator economy, because that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to create. We're meant to be more creative. We're meant to be spiritual, because at the end of the day, we're spiritual beings. And in order to get a lot of money, which we all want, we want a lot of money. We to a certain extent, not like it's everything, but like we want to be well off. Nobody wants to be poor. I don't think being poor is of God. Now, some of us are called to different things, which might end up in a result where they might not make as much money, but that's a different kind of calling, right? And if you're watching this, you're probably someone who wants to build wealth. And that's nothing wrong with that. Don't let nobody tell you there's anything wrong with that. A lot of Christian folks will try to demonize making wealth as a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, if I think you put it over everything, if you put it over family, health, wealth, God, love, then no. But it is important, and I don't play about it. But it's a spiritual thing when you talk about communication, right? People hear you and they feel you. Feelings are a spiritual thing as well, but you got to be able to control it, the mental, which is a spiritual realm as well. The imagination is the ultimate highest form. God imagined this world that we're living in, and he created it. You see what I'm saying? And he created you in his image, so you're supposed to be creating things as well, creating the world you want to live in, creating the life that you want to create. I've created this life for myself with the help of God, right? I prayed for this, and I read the books. I looked at the YouTube channels that I needed to look at, like you're looking at the YouTube channels that you need to look at to get the life I want. I was looking at people who got it. And so, you want to make more money, bring more value. If you want to bring more value, understand what value is and where you're at on the levels of value. Are you on the implementation level? Are you on the unification level? Are you on the communication level? And are you on the imagination level? Whichever level you're on, you want to be moving up until you get to the point where you're strictly on the imagination level. And your imagination is making you money. It's your boy Vic. We're back with another video. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.